Hey guys, my name is Sarah and I will be your virtual tutor today. The lesson planned is finding prices using percentages, and these will be given through real world problems. So, in this lesson, students are going to learn how to find the sales price of an item using real world problems. There are a couple of different things that students will learn today. Learn how to apply math and common actions, determining the sales price of an object, learning how to move decimal points, learning how to convert a percentage to a decimal, and learning how to multiply a decimal by a whole number. For this lesson, students must know how to subtract decimal points. I will not go into detail with this, but I will leave a link at the end of the presentation for anyone who needs help with this area. However, the subtraction will not be very difficult for this lesson, so even if that is something you're not very good at, it shouldn't be extremely difficult. Okay, so let's start off with a little bit of vocabulary. First of all, what are percentages? Well, percentages are pretty much just like fractions. They represent a number out of 100. For example, the fraction 60 out of 100 is 60%, and the fraction 25 out of 100 is 25%. So it's not too hard. So what makes percentages so important? Well, percentages are a part of everyday life. Imagine you're going into your favorite clothing store and you only have $30. You see a t-shirt that you love, but it costs $40, but it's 35% off. You're probably going to want to know the cost of the t-shirt so you know if you can afford it, right? Lastly, what are sales prices? A sales price is the price of a good, like a shirt or a game, after a discount has been applied. So that $40 t-shirt you found, once the 25% off has been applied, that would be the sales price. So in this case, the sales price of the t-shirt would be $26. Great, you can afford it. So let's get started. And just a reminder, for all these problems, completely forget about tax. The answers will be before the tax has been applied. So for this, just don't worry about it. We're not going to stress it. So the first problem is that Macy wants to buy a new dress for the school dance on Friday. She finds a purple dress that costs $80, but it is 25% off. So how much does the dress cost? I have given a list of simple steps on the left side of the presentation for help. So feel free to look at that. It will be on all the slides with questions. So I will be going by the list, and if you get lost, look over at it. I hope it will help you. So first, we need to convert the percentage into a decimal. So the percentage we have is 25%. An easy way to think of this is, so 25 is the whole number, right? So think of it as 25.0. So our decimal is located after the 5, and we have to move that decimal place 2 places to the left. So I'll move 1, 2, and this will give us a decimal of 0.25. So now we have to multiply that decimal by the original cost of 80. So our first step will be to multiply 0 by 5 and 0 by 2. I put these together because they're just multiples of 0, so we get 0 for both of the answers. I'm going to put that down below. Our next step, which is very, very important, is we have to put in our placeholder of 0. Now, why do we have to put in a placeholder? Because we are now multiplying by the tens. So now we multiply 8 by 5. 8 by 5 will give us 40. So we'll put that 0 down below, but we'll put that 4 up as a remainder that we will use in a minute. Now we do 8 times 2. 8 times 2 is 16, but you have to remember to add that remainder of 4 to 16. So then you'll get 20, and we'll put that down below. Our next step is to add. So this one isn't too difficult because it's just zeros pretty much. So we'll do 2,000 plus 0, and this just gives you 2,000. Now, when I was multiplying, I completely forgot about this decimal because I know it can be confusing to put it in while multiplying. But if it's not for you, feel free to completely put it in so we don't have to worry about later. But I'm just going to do it after we multiply. So now when we put the decimal place in, again, we have to move it 2 places to the left. So 2000.0. That decimal place is located after that third zero. So we'll move it 1, 2 places to the left, giving us $20. Now, $20 is not the answer. Many people will put that as the answer because, you've multiplied, it's a lot of work, so you're done, right? Actually, no, but you are almost done. So that $20 is just the amount off of 80. So now we have to do 80 minus 20. So 80 minus 20, not that difficult. It's pretty simple. There's no cents or change. So 80 minus 20 gives you 60. So your answer would be $60. The dress that Macy is looking at costs $60, and that's the sales price. Now our second problem is Luke goes to the store looking for a video game. He finds a game that costs $35, but it is 15% off. How much does that game cost? So again, I have given that list. So if we look at it, I'm just going to go by as well. So our percentage is 15%. So let's convert that to a decimal. So again, think of it as like 15.0. We know that our decimal place is after the 5. So we'll move it 2 places to the left. That's key. You move it 2 places to the left, and you'll get 0.15. So now let's multiply 0.15 by 35. So we'll start with 5 times 5, and this will give you 25. So we'll put that 5 down below, but we have to put that 2 up as a remainder that we'll add in later. So now we'll do 5 times 1. 5 times 1 will give you 5, but you have to remember to add that 2. So 5 plus 2 will give you 7, and we'll put that down below. So I'm going to go ahead and mark out this remainder of 2, just in case we have any more remainders, and I don't want you or me to get confused about which remainder we're looking at. So next, we'll add our placeholder of 0. It is very, very important to add this placeholder. Some people may leave it blank, some people may draw like a box or a star, but you have to have something that indicates your placeholder, and you have to know it represents 0. So now we do 3 times 5, and 3 times 5 will give you 15. Well, we have another remainder. We put 5 down underneath the 7, but we'll put that 1 up as a remainder. Next, we'll do 3 times 1, which gives you 3, but you have to add that 1. So 3 plus 1 will give you 4, and we'll write that down below. All right, this one's a little bit more difficult because we're not just adding zeros, but it's not extremely difficult. So 75 plus 450, this will give you 525. So let's bring that decimal place back down. Again, 2 places to the left. So as a whole number, move it 1, 2, which gives you 5.25. The video game is $5.25 off. Keyword off. That's not your answer yet. So our next step is to subtract 35 minus $5.25. Now, when you do this, you will get the answer of $29.75, and that will be your answer. The video game costs $29.75. On to the third problem. Carl has to buy a new pair of cleats for football. He found a pair that cost $95, but it is 12% off. How much do the cleats cost? Here's your list of steps. Let's begin. So our percentage is 12%. It's very similar to all of them. We're just doing these 2-digit percentages. So we'll start with that 12.0 and move it 1, 2 places to the left, and this will give you 0.12 as your decimal. So now we multiply that 0.12 by 95. So we'll start out doing 5 times 2, which is 10. So we'll put that 0 down below, and that 1 becomes the remainder. So we'll put that at the top. Our next step is to multiply this 5 by 1, and that gives you 5, but we have to add this remainder of 1, so 5 plus 1 gives you 6. Again, I'm going to mark it out to erase any confusion. Some people may not get confused, but I don't really want to take that chance. I want to make sure everything is straightforward here. So now we'll add that placeholder of 0. Again, very important, can't forget it. So next we'll multiply 9 times 2. 9 times 2 will give you 18. And look, another remainder. So we'll put 8 down at the bottom, and we'll put that 1 up as a remainder. Next, we'll do 9 times 1. Pretty simple. 9 times 1 gives you 9, but we have to add this 1, and this will give you 10. So now we have to add. When you add, you'll get 1,140. Now let's bring that decimal place back down. You cannot forget about that decimal. If you don't put it in, it will definitely mess up your calculations. So again, here's your whole number. So your decimal is right here, and we'll move the decimal over 1, 2, and this gives you $11.40 off. So now we will subtract 95 minus $11.40. This will give you $83.60. So that is how much the cleats cost. They cost $83.60. So far, not too bad. The problems aren't too difficult. I didn't try to make them confusing or anything. And on to the fourth problem. So this one is that Lauren wants to buy something for her mom for Mother's Day. At the store, she finds a matching wallet and purse set that costs $96, but it is 15% off. How much does this set cost? So this one might confuse some people just because of how it's worded. The wallet and the purses is set together. So together they cost $96. They're not separate. It's not supposed to be anything different or confusing. Same steps as before, and we're going to continue to do that. So we have another 15% off as we had earlier. So you know the drill. We do 2 decimal places to the left, and this will give you your 0.15. So let's multiply that. 0.15 by 96. So we'll start off with 6 times 5. So you'll put that 0 down at the bottom, and you'll put that 3 up as a remainder because 6 times 5 is 30. Our next step is 6 times 1, but we have to add that 3. So 6 times 1 is 6. Add that 3, and you get 9. So I'll put that down below. So I'm going to mark it out again as before. Don't want any confusion. And then now we add that placeholder. Again, the placeholder is key. Without it, your answer will be totally wrong. You don't necessarily have to put a 0. Again, you can put something completely different as long as you know it's a 0. I know some people write stars because they just think that's cool. It's totally up to you. So next step is 9 times 5. So we'll put that 5 down below, and we have our remainder of 4 because 9 times 5 gives us 45. The next step is 9 times 1. This gives you 9, but we have to add that remainder of 4 to get 13. And the next step is we have to add. Cannot forget that, very important. When we add, we will get 1,440. So let's bring that decimal place back down. Now, we just have this one decimal place, so I'm going to mention this. Sometimes it'll line up and you can just bring it straight down to that 14.40. But if you want to make sure, start at the end of the whole number and move it 2 places to the left. So you will get $14.40 off. So next, you need to subtract. Always gotta subtract. Your answer does not end immediately after your multiplication. You cannot forget to subtract that amount off by the cost of whatever the object is, whatever the good is. So 96 minus $14.40 will give you $81.60. So the wallet and the purse set cost $81.60. Now here are a couple of practice problems. I wrote down the steps down by it so you can look at it as you're solving. So I'm going to read over these and I'll give you a chance to solve them. So the first problem is Jackson found a t-shirt at the Villanova basketball game that cost $25. The t-shirt was $10 off, 10% off. How much did the t-shirt cost? The second problem is Carly found a pair of boots that cost $72, but it was 13% off. How much did the pair of boots cost? The last problem is Mackenzie found a dress for $95, that will be known as dress A, that was not on sale. But she found a dress that cost $110 and it was 17% off. This is known as dress B. Which dress was the least expensive? Now for this last problem, I want you to focus on what the question is asking. It says which dress was the least expensive. It's not asking what the cost of dress B was, what the cost of dress A was. Although you will need to know that, that is not what the question is asking for your answer. It's asking which dress was the least expensive. So your answer will either be dress A or dress B. And remember to subtract the percent off by the original price. I cannot stress this enough. It's very important. I don't want you to get a question wrong just because you leave it as whatever the amount is off. So feel free to pause here, solve the questions. I will give the answers on the next slide. So just pause, take as much time as you need, and come back whenever you're ready. So here are the practice problem answers. The answer number 1 was $22.50. The answer to question 2 was $62.64. And the answer to problem 3 was dress B. I have everything worked out on here. I didn't put in where I put the placeholder, but as you can see, this is where the 0 is. I put the 0 here, and I put the 0 here. And I also put out where you subtract because that is one of the most important things to get in the answers. Yes, multiplication is important, but if you don't subtract, you will not get the right answer. So I hope these weren't too difficult. I know problem 3 was a little different, but it was still pretty much the same. I know that it was a 3-digit number by a 2-digit number, but I didn't want to choose a very difficult 3-digit number, so I made it where there weren't any remainders. So I hope you enjoyed this. I have a couple of links here. Subtracting decimals, multiplying 2-digit numbers, that's a worksheet. More Intern for Good math curriculums. Totally recommend it. The people on there are awesome. I have converting percentages into decimals. I have calculating percentages, which is a video. And then I have some percentage games, just in case you want to have a little fun with that. If you're really struggling, I totally recommend the calculating percentages video. It's a great link, great thing, great video. And I hope that you had fun. I hope that you understood everything. If not, it's totally fine. Just keep practicing. Feel free to re-watch this or check out any of the links. And I hope you enjoyed. And about the author. So hi, I'm Sarah Graham, currently rising junior in high school, and I run cross country and track. If you have any questions or if you need anything, feel free to contact me at this email below at sgram0253@gmail.com. Again, I hope you enjoyed this presentation. I hope it helps you a lot. Just feel free to check out anything, and I totally recommend using the Interns for Good website, not just for math, but for all of your subject needs. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.